Well, hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Levi.
My name is Jennie.
And we're your hosts today. And we're happy about it.
We are happy about it.
We are excited today to welcome the returning king of podcasting. You like that? Carlos Whittaker.
Wow.
He's the king of the internet.
I feel like he'd be so honored to hear that title. I don't think you've ever told him that. Have you told him that?
No, I'm going to call him right after this and tell him, sir, you are... Hail, Carlos Whittaker, king of the internet.
He's going to say, I am but a man.
I am but a man, worship God, for the spirit of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. Get off your knees, soldier. All right. He might not say any of that. No. He might accept the title with arms wide open. Let's just see. Let's just call him. FaceTime Carlos Whittaker. My screen's all murky.
Oh, wintertime.
We don't need all that. If he doesn't answer, it's going to be a stumbling block in our relationship. I can send him a video. Have you noticed that FaceTime will do that now? It'll send a little video.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty nice. He's not going to answer, huh? I'll send him a video. Just with our regards.
Mm-hmm.
It's taking so long to go to voicemail. We get it already. At least that means he didn't Okay, we're going to send a video. Ready?
Okay.
Carlos, Jennie, and Levi here.
Carlitos!
We're on the set of the podcast recording the intro for our conversation we had with you. And yeah, that's what's happening right now. Wanted to say that you're the king of the internet. That's what brought this up. I was like, Carlos is like the king of the internet, king of podcasting, king of social media.
And then I said, have you told him that? And he said,
no, but let's do it right now. And she thought you would say, no, I'm but a man. The Lord is the king. And I thought you would accept the honors. But who knows? Anyhow, friends, bye, Carlos. I love you. Let's send that off on its merry little way. We want to really quickly, before we get into this conversation, because Carlos is a lot of things: podcaster, social media influencer. He leads he's an author. Did I say the author?
I don't think so.
He's an author of a number of books, but he also is a really good person, and we're grateful to be friends with him.
Yeah. And his wife, Heather, and their kids. They're just a really special family.
Beautiful people. Want to say as well that there is a price increase coming January 23rd for Movement Conference, the annual conference we have for youth and their leaders or family in Northwest Montana. We have Louis Giglio and Sadie Robertson Huff, Taya from Hillsong United, Carrie, Job, and Cody Carnes. Did I say Louis Giglio? Good grief. That's exciting.
I know.
And then you and I are going to be there. We hope you'll come as well. It's never going to be cheaper than it is today. As the price goes up in a week. So go to MVMNT25.com to stake your place and join us.
Today is the day.
Your presence is requested.
Yes.
All right. Well, listen.
You won't regret it.
This conversation with Carlos, we get into his new book where he lived with Amish people and in a monastery for a while. It's called Reconnected, and it's a really powerful story. So
yeah, you guys lean in. This is an incredible conversation.
Enjoy. We're plugged in properly. Everything's good. You're wearing your mustard shirt that I gave you.
You gave me this.
Did you put that on just because you were on with us today?
I actually didn't even know I was on with you today. Put it on this morning because it's a crisp fall day in Nashville. And then I saw that I was on with you and I was like, Levi got me my mustard that I get complimented on mustard 24/7 now. So I only buy mustard stuff because of you.
I see you wearing that everywhere, and I always feel like the proudest parent, you know?
You should. Aww. You started me on my mustard journey. Thank you.
Did you wear that on Good Morning America?
I did not. I love you, but I definitely did not wear my mustard.
That much?
Yeah. No, I didn't. What did I wear?
I feel like I saw you somewhere. You were on something big and you had it on, and I
maybe
felt
he
like
wore a mustard suit.
I wore like a mustardish. What's the Carhartt? Like a Carhartt thing on Good Morning America.
I was your mustard gateway drug.
Yes, you were definitely my mustard gateway drug. Thank you.
Okay, I do want to mention this morning. I thought of you early on in the day because you were on my radar. I was like, oh, I'm going to see Carlos. Yeah. We're going to catch up. I just was so happy. It made me happy to know we were going to get this time together today. And I thought I might just bring you back on the podcast every week just because I can guarantee get some time with you.
Yeah, I like this idea. It just makes me happy too. I was telling Heather upstairs, I was like, hey, I'm running downstairs to talk to Jennie. And Levi too. But you know, she's like, what? So yeah, I just get happy when I'm with you guys.
I guess I could just call you.
You could. We do that a lot. You know, it's been so many years of us just loving each other. I love loving you and your family. All you guys.
Yeah, no, I meant more. I don't have to just always have you on the podcast. Like I'm just selfishly using this as like, it felt to me like a therapy point. I was like, I'm going to get something good for my heart.
Yes, you are. Yeah, you are. I'm ready to give you some of that.
Okay, so people are listening to this message in January, but we're recording this a little earlier in the end of 2024, and I was telling Jennie that I spent some time today watching you on social media weeping like a baby watching Bluey.
Yes! I was hoping this conversation was going to come up.
So Jennie has cried to Bluey also.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what it was until today.
Your kids are a little older.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, my kids are older, and like Heather bought me this inflatable for my front yard, which of course she did, and she's like, hey, you need to put this in the front yard, and I was like, what is this thing? She's like, oh, it's Bluey. The kids love it in the neighborhood, and I was like, what do you? I'm not just going to put a random blue dog. And like I've got like a system, a method to my Christmas decor in my front yard. I'm not just going to. She's like, no, I promise you. Sure enough, I put this inflatable up, and like every 4-year-old is stopping, doesn't care about the 25-foot Santa, doesn't care about they just want a picture with Bluey. Yes. So I told my Instagram today that I didn't know who this was, and I'm telling you, every mother and grandmother of a child that is, you know, in the Bluey demographic came at me in my DMs going, you have to watch it. You have to watch it. You have to watch this episode called Sleepy Time. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I put on Sleepy Time. Jennie and Levi. It was only 8 minutes. It was an 8-minute cartoon. Minutes. I've never seen this cartoon in my life. I was 3 minutes in and kind of had the tongue in my cheek, kind of like feeling like emotions in my throat.
No, I saw that. I saw the weeping begin.
Yeah,
in your feely parts.
You could see it. You could see it moving. Of your heart. You could see it moving, and then it just came out of me like, and I just was like, holy cow, where's this cartoon been my whole life? So since then I've watched like 7 episodes. So
yeah.
Well, I don't want to say it doesn't matter that you cried because tears are real, but I do want to say you're a little loose with the tears. You know what I mean? Like it's not exactly like it's really hard, you know, to get you emotional.
Let's be honest. Like I'm a little free with my tears, a little loose. I like actually loose. Let's just call it loose. Yeah. Let's call a spade a spade. I'm a little loose. Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay.
You give it up real easy.
I do give up my tears. Wow. I do give it up really easy.
But Bluey is a special cartoon also.
It really is.
Without a doubt.
I didn't know this.
It's a unique phenomenon.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is. I don't know anything but what I've learned about it today. You know, and at the end of every episode, it's like made in part with help of the Australian government or something like that. I was like, what? What is this thing? What is happening over there? So yeah,
and it's somehow owned by Disney. Got their tentacles into it.
Oh, did
they?
Right? Okay,
yeah,
because they're not stupid. You know, they know what's good for them.
Yeah.
I think that partially, you know, in England, all TV is controlled by the BBC.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I don't know.
Something like that.
All channels are like BBC 1, 2, 3, you know, whatever. So I think it's partially because it was made for television in Australia, which is a part of the, help me if I'm wrong, Commonwealth. Is that right?
I don't know.
I do not know.
I do not know. I've got too many Australian friends to get that wrong.
Googler.
So I think we're going to Google it. Is Australia part of the Commonwealth? But I'm pretty sure it is. I think that's because like
at
United Kingdom was like countries that were involved. Commonwealth was like the greater part of the empire, far flung, and the Australia is indeed a part of the Commonwealth.
It did. Okay.
I know nothing.
It has to be because Alex Seeley loves the Queen so much, and I just feel like there was this thing.
Indeed,
happening.
it is. It's a founding member of the Commonwealth. Okay, that's a big deal.
Okay.
That's a big deal.
So probably my guess is Bluey was created to be aired on TV in Australia, so it had to be somehow. Probably Disney found out it was big and wanted to buy it. Totally. I would think it's on Disney Plus. And I know this. Here's what's weird. This is going to blow your mind. We watched them on, was it the Tonight Show?
Who's that?
The dad and mom?
The voices of the dad and mom. Of Chili
they are not in the same room when they record.
No way.
None of them are.
None of them.
What?
Even
That doesn't even
kids?
make sense.
Yeah,
know.
yeah. So watch an episode again now and know they're not in the same room
Wow.
and they had never met. Like the first season, second season, I think they had never met each other.
In person.
And they're
Wow.
just a dry read. You're walking into a room going, all right, bingo, about, whatever, like about whatever it is. And then just saying that you're that talented. And then someone is stitching their voices together
That's
and
insane.
creating that
And the fact that they have like such a
chemistry.
and sweetness and love and family, but
Yeah.
behind the scenes,
It makes you want to be a better parent.
It
I think
does.
it's the reason.
That's what I got out of it. Listen, my kids are all 18, 21, and 22. And all I was thinking about, that's why I was crying. I was just crying about, wow, parenting is important. That's the first thing I thought when I watched that one episode is like, gosh, all the tiny little itty bitty moments are so important as a parent.
Yes.
Bluey.
Yes.
And
Oh,
they're
Bluey.
cheeky. They're not like
Yeah.
they like kid their kids. Like they don't.
Yes.
They for sure don't helicopter them, and they don't coddle. Like there's a real
Yeah.
sense of like, the pushback. It's a really wonderful tone.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
It is a wonderful
I'm
tone.
in. I'm such a fan. I'm so glad we got to talk about Bluey.
I'm glad you have a blow up in your front yard too.
I do.
That's happy.
Yeah.
Well, he has a lot of inflatables.
among all the others, but I'm
Yes.
just saying like a Bluey inflatable.
Now Carlos bought us one.
It's true.
Oh, I did.
You bought us one. You coordinated with our team, and it was when we came home. It
We
was
were out of
It was
town.
blown
It
up.
was already
in the front
inflated.
yard. So I have to talk to you about this because you live in a land of winter occasional winter. Like you don't
Exactly.
get a lot of snow. You don't get a lot of weather. Inflatables in Montana are different.
Absolutely.
We wake up to them under a heavy burden of snow a lot. Do yours ever get turned off?
Yes. So I turn mine off like at 11 p.m. And then, but they turn back on at 7 p.m. when all the kids are heading to like kindergarten and stuff like that. And they can, but I have seen a couple of reels or TikToks of like this one where it's like a Darth Vader inflatable in the snow. And it's like, it rises out of the snow and it's got like Star Wars music. And that's how I imagine inflatables in Montana and they have to rise through the snow and break into the, every day if you deflate them.
But also weirdly get covered in ice. Because okay, so here's what happens.
Yeah.
The snow will melt, turn into water, then freeze, and then sometimes they can't rise. So so Santa's trying to get out of the snow, but can't because it's ice.
So he's just like bent over, like he has a mad look on his face.
Yeah.
You
So
know.
I got really into inflatables. You were a big part of that.
Thank you.
But there was a couple then here's the real problem.
Yeah.
There was a couple winters where I didn't get them up in time, like on a really good day where it was a chance to get them out.
Sure.
And all of the anchors froze into the ground. Some of the strings froze, and then some of the inflatables deflated, froze like under 3 inches of
you
ice.
gotta plan it right, but our weather is not really
Listen, you
plannable.
guys have to
then-
live differently up there. You have to
And
make
then by
decisions.
I think it was April, I was trying to get these out. We had a really hard deep freeze, and I had to tear some of them out of the ground. Come June, I was still picking up pieces of torn inflatable.
They didn't make it.
Yeah.
So we actually don't have any inflatables.
No, I have Carlos's inflatable still.
Oh, you
really?
do?
That's the only one that has made it through.
Okay. Well, our house, I feel like, was the greatest on the block as far as
Jennie, bragging is not becoming.
But nothing like the Whittaker home. But I think that like it just brought so much joy to people.
Yes,
but
it's so true.
It is difficult. It is difficult in the winter of Montana.
It's difficult, and we do have a pretty mild winter. It gets cold here, but we don't get the snow, right? And but what you're saying, that the joy that it brings to the neighborhood, like I have a little countdown, that like a little Wrigley Field countdown where I put up a different number every single day. I walk out there, it's big. Every single night, I just sit on my porch and I see there's all these golf carts that drive around our neighborhood, and I see these parents coming with their kids, and they just take photos in front of the countdown and in front of it's just beautiful. It makes everyone so happy.
My gosh.
You're gonna be that old man.
I am. I am definitely. That's the
He
goal.
already is.
Because there's a dude behind me that's like, I don't know, 25 years older than me. That is that old man, and I'm like, I'm coming for you, bro. Like I'm here. So let's go. Game time. I have a limo that drives by my home starting on December 1st. There's 2 limos. One is like a party bus, one's a limo. And my home is on the Nashville Home Christmas Light Tour. They come by my house, Jennie and Levi.
Oh my
When do you start
Gosh.
planning? Because I know you set it all
Goals?
up the day after Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah.
When do you plan it? Like, are you starting to think about the
no,
strategy come?
There's not really,
Easter?
I mean, my system is pretty much set now. Like I know where everything goes, but we add something new every year. And so it's all about like, what's that? Heather loves to build like decorations. So this year we actually haven't gotten them done yet, but we're building these giant, like 8-foot tall and wide presents that we're going to put in the front yard with lights on them. And so like, I've got a spot waiting for that right now.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. I like that.
You guys are amazing.
Catch us up, Carlos. I feel like we haven't talked in a minute. What's been going on?
You know, just released a book in September.
Yeah, we're going to talk all about that. I've got it right here.
Yeah.
Reconnected.
Reconnected. So like, you know, lately life it was crazy. September and October, I was gone doing, you know, book tour stuff. And then had a documentary come out based on the book that came out like maybe 3 weeks ago. And yeah, I've kind of like, I'm off the road. I feel like the last time I was, maybe not with you, I've seen you since then, but I was at Fresh Life last December before I went to Japan. You were gone.
We were on our Christmas tour.
Yes, you were on the Christmas tour.
Yeah, that's right.
So I was with your church family there. That was amazing. But I feel like that was like Winter Wonderland Narnia Fest when we were there. Like it was.
Yeah, I think you went skiing. Yes,
dumped snow. It was beautiful. Not quite sure what I'm telling you about last time I was with you, but with me, you know, things are good. You know, like our Sohaila's married 6 months now, maybe more than 6 months. You know, so I've got a son-in-law, but they live 10 minutes away from us. You know, like so Sayana's living at home still. She'll probably get engaged here soon. We're in this like really sweet season of watching our kids just. It's like it's finally letting go at the end of that kite string, and it's just like, oh my gosh, whoa, this is crazy. Wow. Look at them go. So it's really a blast right now.
When you said off the road, are you off the road for the rest of the year?
Yes, I am. I
no more flights.
I don't get on an airplane again until January 12th.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
That must feel wonderful.
Oh, it does. It feels amazing.
And just you're home, you're hanging out. We're going to just be completely off? Are you working some?
I'm working. I'm actually building this thing. You'll be people will know about it by the time the podcast comes out, but your ears will be my first friends that know about it. I'm building this like online community / I don't know, but I'm calling it Human School. And I'm basically taking people through Reconnected, and I'm taking people through How to Human. And those will be like the 2 semesters in 2025 of Human School. And it'll be like, 12 weeks. There'll be videos, there'll be live Zoom hangouts. It'll be like a whole community that I'm helping people kind of reconnect with what we'll talk about. But I'm pretty freaking excited about that. So I'm spending all of the rest of this year building that content, recording all that, and getting it ready to launch it in February.
That's amazing. Incredible. That sounds so fun.
Doesn't it?
Like a master class style.
I want to go to Human School.
Yeah, it's like
I want to go to Human School.
It's like, man, we've all forgotten how to do this. Let's get together and try to figure it out together. And so things feel so divided these days, and and so I just I'm all about being the guy that's like whatever worldview you look at the world through. The whatever perspective, like I just feel like there's more of us that want to do this well together than don't. And so let me get us together. So
you're talking empathy, kindness, connection.
Yeah.
All those things.
All those things, I'm talking all those things. I'm talking falling back in love with, with noticing and savoring and wondering and all of these uniquely human things that we've forgotten how to do, which I think in turn, take the humanity out of us. And then we wonder why we're not being human towards each other. And it's like, well, because we're not being human with ourselves anymore either. So yeah, just trying to.
That's a great insight.
Yeah. Lean into that a little bit.
Okay. So I do want to talk all about that, because that is the message, what you're saying, savoring, seeing, noticing of the new book. But first, you have to oblige my curiosity.
Yes.
Tell me about this book tour. Because when the book came out, what was the day the book actually came out?
September 10th.
Okay, so you did how many cities when that came out?
Yeah, I did. We did 16, and it was cool. It was different than any other. Last year I went like on tour with Annie, and we had like we had like churches and tickets, and this I did like indie bookstores, and it was just so cool. So it was like 100 150 people would kind of squeeze into these little intimate spaces. I do a reading, do a little Q&A, and then, take selfies with them. It just was cool. It was like this really cool vibe.
It's actually a return to book tour.
Yes, I feel like that's what it was, and the local bookstores were so grateful, and everybody that came bought a book from them, and they just felt loved and supported, and it was cool. It was more fun than I thought it was going to be. I really enjoyed it.
I was just telling our team, I feel like book tours have become more mini church services.
Yes.
And are less about the book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
Old school book tours were more signings and readings.
Yeah.
And people in a bookstore. How did you pick the cities? How did you figure out the bookstores? That's a kind of a dying art too. The small local bookstore.
Man, I do. We can do a whole podcast on little indie bookstores because
we're doing it right now. It's called Hey Luskos.
And here we are. It was so cool because like all these indie bookstore, like the owners would be there, right? Not just the managers, the owners would all be there. And they were like, gosh, thank you so much. Like you packed, like we haven't had this many people in our stores in a long time. But I think one of the things that surprised me was that how many of them said that, before 2020, that they were dying. And they were all dying. But then 2020 happened and everybody's like, well, I'm not going to just buy my books on Amazon. I want to support these local businesses, local bookstores. So then they were like, when the pandemic hit and
just pause. Yep. Let the record stay. Everyone on this conversation is in favor of Amazon. If Bezos is listening, we don't want our book shadow banned.
There we go.
Not that there's anything wrong with Amazon.
Yeah, now there's anything wrong with Amazon.
Everybody.
Yeah.
I just have to be, I know Alexa is in someone's room and then he's like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Noted.
It's actually
so you guys
over.
Reliance sales plummeted after that conversation.
It actually is over already. Like my phone has heard me, Amazon's heard me. It's over for all of our writing careers.
I, for one, welcome the Amazon overlords.
Yes. Let's welcome them. So most of these bookstores were like, things exploded and rocketed for them during quarantine, during 2020. And then they most of them are like, we've been more successful than we ever thought we would. And we would be, and they're more successful now than they were in 2020. So it was pretty cool. I visited a lot of indie bookstores that were expanding, that had, were growing. And so, yeah, I just think, again, this goes back to the book we're going to talk about. I think people are just, man, people want to reconnect back with the simpler things, back with things that they can touch and back with paper and, walking into a bookstore and perusing and the smell of books. And so, it was really, I don't know, it was inspiring for me as an author. It excited me about the medium. These books are, this is the oldest technology that's still in existence known to man, right? Like, and so it's like, this technology will never go with these paper books, right? Like if we keep reading everything on our phones, well, guess what? Like in 4 years, you're going to pull your phone out of a drawer and you're not going to have a charger that's going to charge it anymore. Like if you bury it in 100 years, you can't turn it on. If you bury this in 100 years, you could pick it up and read it, right? And so it's just like, there's something to it, there's something to it that's never going to go away. And so anyway.
How did you find the local bookstores, pick the cities, just figuring that all out?
Yeah. My publisher, they have relationships with some indie bookstores. And so I kind of started with them. I'm with a Christian publisher, but I would say more than, you start thinking of indie bookstores, a lot of them are like, these progressive, non-Christian spaces. And so they would tell, my publisher would tell me about the bookstores. Well, this is a great bookstore. They do a lot of signings. We've never done any with them. And then so I would then reach out on Instagram and be like, hey, I'm an author and I'm looking for this and that. And so it was actually cool to bring the message of Reconnected into a lot of these stores that really don't carry Christian books.
And they might not have carried the book otherwise. Absolutely.
Many of them told me that. In particular, they were like, we wouldn't have done this had you not come here. And they're just so grateful, that I would do it in their space. I think a lot of them were like, I can't believe you would do this here. Like, thank you. Like this is not a place that the church comes or that a Christian would be. And, and they were just grateful. So, guys, that's the world I live in though. Like I love to be in that space. And so,
and you've long done a good job of bringing together your Instagram family into physical meetups. You've been doing those Insta Familia
I do
moments.
I do these. Do I have, I have these little stickers here that I take I've got them with me all the time. I've got these little Insta Familia stickers.
Love
For
that.
those who are listening,
Yeah.
Carlos is holding up a purple
Yes.
and yellow and blue.
Yeah.
Is it blue?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
Rainbow.
it's a little sticker. And I got them in my pockets everywhere. So when I'm in the airport and someone's literally, I mean, this is the craziest thing. I'm at the airport. People don't even say hi, Carlos, to me. If I'm in the airport, I'll be walking down a terminal and all I hear is Insta Familia. People just like, they're so a part of it, like love being a part of this community. It's not Carlos Whittaker. It's not Los Whit. It's Insta Familia. And so I have these Insta Familia meetups and I have these stickers with me and I pass them out like, hotcakes. It's so much fun.
I love that. That's a
And
great
I like it because it
idea.
came from you just good. Every morning you would say, good morning, Insta Familia, to your Instagram fam.
Yes.
And that shorthand ended up becoming this new thing.
Yes, this
Love
Insta
it.
Familia, this community. And now every morning I have my coffee and I say, Buenos dias, Insta Familia. And it's kind of a shtick that happens on Instagram. And Instagram always miscaptions it into like, what is the essence of Amelia? Or, they never say it right. And I'm actually, for the first time, because of that, I'm making a mug for Christmas this year that I'm selling that says Buenos dias, Insta Familia on it. So that'll be kind of fun.
You
That is
should
so
make a
cool.
shirt with like the top mistakes
Yes,
that Siri's made or Alexis made or whatever.
We thought about putting that on the back of the mug. It's always fun to see what it's gonna
and then have them like crossed out.
Yeah.
And then on the front have the right one.
Yes, Buenos dias, Insta Familia. But the Insta Familia is a real thing, man. It's fun, and they're the ones that I get to do this stuff with every day.
What was your favorite stop on the book tour?
St. Louis, by far. And a lot of your listeners may have seen a video that went viral of St. Louis because I was in this bookstore in downtown St. Louis, and this gentleman came in intoxicated and inebriated during my talk, during my book reading. And he walks in quoting Tupac. He's like, all eyes on me. And everyone kind of turns, looks at him. And then, I just had this, we've all had this as communicators, these moments where I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Like, I could tell the manager was coming to kind of get him. And, but I just kind of invited him to the front and I was like, hey man, come on up. And it just was this really cool moment of me seeing this guy that wanted to be seen. So I saw him, I invited him up and I said, he's like, man, I'm not your audience. This is your audience. And I was like, no, you're my audience because you showed up here. And the video ended up going viral, and it was pretty cool moment because that bookshop then got a lot of customers because of that. And then St. Louis felt like that was a positive news story about their city, and they felt like they hadn't had a lot. So that was actually a lot of fun. I enjoyed that one.
I love that. I love that you just being you and you doing what you love. I feel like it starts with Moment Maker, your first book, but like just these things that quote unquote accidentally happen, but it's literally just an overflow of how you live your life. And I love it. I love always hearing what God's doing through you that seems so random, but it's so specific to who you are and what God's doing through you, which is just so cool.
Thanks, Jenny. People tell me that all the time. They're like, Carlos, like, how do you have all these things that happen to you? All these things happen to you. And I actually, a couple years ago, I was like, well, maybe I happened to them. Like maybe that's not what it is. Maybe it's not like these things happen to me. Maybe it's just that I'm happening to them. I'm just kind of being a little bit more forward with inviting moments into my life, right? And so, it's just, for me, it's a more fun way to live.
I love it.
And you did the same reading every night? Or did you mix it up just to keep yourself interested?
I definitely would mix it up. In Atlanta, I read, I think I probably read a different chapter every single place I was in. And it was good because, I'd read the book for the audiobook recording, but I hadn't necessarily, you don't read your own book. It's not like I'm like, so it was actually fun every night. I'd like, and I'd ask Whitney, my assistant, or Jamie, my tour manager, or Heather, whoever was with me. I was like, what should I read tonight? And they're like, oh, read this part. So yeah, that was kind of fun. Or I would even ask the audience that was there, hey, do you have a favorite story in the book? And so I'd read that as well. But people are so, they were just so captivated and fascinated by just the monks and the Amish. And so people wanted to hear those stories and they wanted to hear about them. How do they live? Everyone's being so curious. And so, I had a good time reading them every single night. And I'm trying to think if there's any other like crazy things on the book tour that happened. I don't know. Oh, this was something fun that I did. Oh, do I have it with me? Oh yeah, I've got it with me. So like the book's called Reconnected, right? 7 screen-free weeks. So I didn't look at a single screen.
Let me read the subtitle.
Oh, yeah.
How 7 screen-free weeks with monks and Amish farmers helped me recover the lost art of being human.
They're the longest
it.
subtitle of books ever.
Yeah, but
Love
it
it.
tells you exactly
Yes.
what you're going to get.
It
That's
does.
for dang sure.
Yes.
It does. And so, and everyone wants to take a selfie, when you sign the book. And so after the first night, Whitney, my assistant, was like, oh my gosh, I have an idea. Why don't you get a Polaroid? And so I had this little Polaroid. So I did not let anybody take a selfie with their phone. I pulled out this Polaroid and just handed them a photo of me and them with the book. So then they had a Polaroid. And then I was like, now you could take a picture of the Polaroid if you wanted to put it on Instagram, but at least you got something physical. So
I love that.
that was just fun. It just it felt like, aligned with the book and aligned with what I was talking about in the book.
I love that.
While not saying phone
my
too much.
casual flex is, and I'll hold it up to the camera, is I have the shot that didn't make it on the cover.
Yes.
Because the day that you were working on the cover, let's see if can you see that there?
Oh yeah. Oh man, I love that
For those
cover.
who are not listening or listening, you can't see it, but if you go to YouTube or access more video, the downward shot. I like how you went with the sideways shot instead.
Hey,
But
can I tell you, if people are looking at this, or if they're watching the video right now, like that was my favorite one. That's the one I wanted. And
Yeah, I see that.
but
I like that one.
Here was a crazy thing. I did a poll. Like I did a poll to a random 1,000 subset group, and it was like 80% preferred the one with me looking to the side, and something about and it was actually pretty much straight divided by like gender. It was like the females wanted the one looking to the side, and all the men. It was so weird. All the men liked the one. Isn't that crazy?
I think it's the eyes.
I think they wanted to see my eyes first of all, but then also my publisher said, and this is what got me. And Andrew is his name. And he goes, Carlos, he goes, I know this isn't what you think it looks like, but it looks like you're looking at a phone. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, interesting.
Or your toes.
Yes. He goes, that's what it looks like when someone's looking at their phone, and the book's called, and I was like, well, that's it. Then I'm not using it. So
No,
there we
yeah,
go.
it's a good shot. It's a good shot. You went with the right one. Okay, so tell us about this. How did the idea come about? Where did it all come from? What's the deal?
Yeah, no. So here's the deal. I mean, all your listeners are, you listen to that subtitle and you think this is like an anti-phone book, and it's not. Yeah, I just need to let everybody know. Like I did not write the book about why phones are bad. There's plenty of books about that out there. You can go find them. This one isn't it. This book's about why it's beautiful on the other side of the screen. And so when you fall in love with what's beautiful on the other side of the screen, you just pick your phone up less. It just happens. And so what happened to me was, every Sunday we get that notification that slides across our phones that says you have averaged blankety blank hours and minutes of screen time this week. And what we normally do is we just swipe it away.
You can turn that off.
You can turn it off. You can make that not
bliss,
show up.
brother.
I see.
Yeah, well, had I turned it off, I probably would have written this book, because I had that notification come across my screen, and I'll never forget that for some reason I was actually in church, and Alex was preaching, and my wife is always the one that if I'm on my phone, if I'm like adjusting my fantasy team during the message, she's like, put the phones down, but then suddenly like I saw that and I was like, I wonder what the math is. So I pulled out the calculator, started doing the math, and the math was so I was at 7 hours and 23 minutes a day. I initially made the excuse, well, I'm a content creator. This is what I do. This is my job. But then I did the math, and 7 hours and 23 minutes a day is 49 hours a week. So 2 entire cycles of the sun, I'm looking at this device. Then I kept doing the math. That's over 100 days a year, 24-hour days, right? So that's awake time and sleepy time. So if you're just talking awake time, that's almost 200 days, right?
Wow.
So then I kept doing the math, and it said if I live to be 85 years old, I'll spend over 12 years of my life looking at this phone. So that sucked the life out of me, and I said, I've got to do something about this. And so I started looking for books on this. I was like, and there were all these books, like I said, on why phones are bad or why, but nobody had actually done it. Like I was like, all these people are telling me to not do it, but they're all on their phone. Like no one had actually done it. And I'm just the kind of guy that's like, well, if no one's done it, then I'm going to do it. So I did. I spent almost 8 weeks, so 7.5 weeks, without looking at an iPhone, an Apple Watch, a laptop, a TV, an iPad, nothing. I didn't consume any content from any screens.
You even ran through the airport avoiding the TVs.
I
from
did.
Chili's
I was
too.
looking down. I had my paper boarding pass. I got my brain scanned before and after by a neuroscientist just so I can see if there was any data in there. And then ended up, I lived with monks and Amish farmers and wrote a book about it. And
you checked yourself into a monastery in the desert of California in the middle of summer. You picked a terrible time.
I picked a horrible time. It was 99 degrees as the low some days. I mean, it was hot.
And then you flew to an Amish farm in Pennsylvania.
I did. I flew to an Amish farm with the paper boarding pass and lived on a sheep farm, on an Amish sheep farm for another 2 weeks. And then I spent 3.5 weeks with my family in Nashville and a little bit in Yellowstone where they got to, kind of swim in the goodness of a screen-free father for about a month.
That was your reintegration strategy.
Yeah.
How do I do it at home too?
Yeah, because I was like,
Well,
anybody can not have a phone with the Amish or not have a phone living with monks, but can I do this living in Nashville? Can I do this with my family?
Wow.
I liked it
Brilliant.
when the monk gave you shade for assuming that they don't have phones.
Oh,
and he
bro,
was like,
yeah.
he pulled his phone out. And he's like, we have phones,
Yeah.
Carlos.
Yeah. He's like, oh, young man, we have phones. Then they have phones. And not only do they have phones, but like they have phone problems. Like, a couple of the monks as I'm interviewing them, Father Carlos in particular, there was a father named Carlos, which was just perfect.
Love it.
He would tell me, he's like, yeah, not only do we have phones, but we have problems with phones. Like, he's like, there's nothing more off-putting to a guest to the monastery if there's a monk walking in the parking lot looking at his phone as he's walking from prayer to whatever. And he's like, so we have to have rules ourselves, like, because, we've got notifications and things are dinging us and we've got people that need things. And he's like, so like the monastic life has been interrupted by technology as well and by screens as well. And so, and even the Amish have phones too now. The Amish have flip phones now. And some Amish are starting to allow smartphones to come in. So there's all sorts of things. This is invading cultures.
And e-bikes.
Wow.
Oh yeah, bro.
You said the Amish have very fast e-bikes.
Listen. They wouldn't allow me the horse and buggy, so they gave me the e-bike. And this is the other thing. You think Amish are just horse and buggy, but now they're literally ditching the horse and buggy for e-bikes. And now there's way more people Amish riding around on e-bikes than there are on horse and buggies in Pennsylvania, in Ohio, and all those places. It's pretty fascinating.
Wait, so they wouldn't let you drive a horse and buggy, or it was just like
they let you do the plow thing though.
Yes,
you talked about the struggle with that.
They definitely didn't trust me with their horse. Is basically what it was. It's not like they. It's not like they were like
you weren't allowed to because you're an outsider.
A buggy's a sophisticated thing.
Yeah, no,
probably.
bro, it is.
Yeah,
and you're on the road with semis on 2-lane roads on these buggies, and then all of a sudden. It's like click, 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 and then whoosh, the semi comes by. You feel the buggy kind of go sideways. I was stressed out riding in them, not just like driving them. But I did have a moment where I am, I've been waiting, bro. I've been waiting for like almost the entire 2 weeks to finally get behind Willis, the sheep farmer. Let me get behind his horses in the field on the plow. And it was so awesome because he trained me, to do all the little Pennsylvania Dutch words, to tell the horses to go left and right and to stop and go forward. I'll never forget because I took a little Sony camera. So every night I would set
Blair
up.
Witch style. It was Blair Witch Project.
So I would talk to it right every night so I could remember what happened that day when I was writing my book. And I took a GoPro. And so I'll never forget. I said, okay, Willis, I'm going to drive it, but I need you to hold my GoPro. And he's like, okay. And I'll never forget, like I'm driving these horses down this field and I turn behind me and I just see this Amish man with a white beard sprinting behind me, about 50 yards behind me, holding a GoPro in his hand. And all I kept thinking when we got done, he's like, man, I sure hope not too many neighbors came, driving by while I was chasing you with a GoPro in my hand. They'd probably never seen an Amish man do that before. So, man, it was awesome. It literally was the most incredible experience.
Amazing.
I had a blast.
I remember when you first told me about the idea, and it was like, to me, it was like quintessential Carlos. It was like, this is perfect. First of all, brilliant.
Yes.
For a book concept, brilliant for the soul health. But then I remember I think I was your last phone call.
You were my
you
very
got
last
committed.
phone call. Yeah.
Did I tell you that?
Yes, but I forgot that until now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where were you? It was like it was before you got checked in. I just prayed with you.
You prayed with me,
Levi.
and
that's awesome.
it was so. I literally was pulling into the monastery, and you did. You prayed with me. It was. I mean, dude, I was scared. I mean, let's be blatantly honest. Anyone that's listening to this right now, think about this. You're literally about to lose communication with planet Earth, and you're going to be like, in the dark for 7 weeks. And so, it was anxiety inducing. Like there was a lot of fear, and so you prayed against some of that, which I was really grateful for.
You talk about it in the book. I don't want to spoil too much of the book because people need to read it. It's a wonderful book.
Yeah.
And I like that you called it Reconnected, not Disconnected, because you weren't going off the grid. You did this to get on the right grid.
Yes.
Right?
Well, because everybody, when I got back was like, how was it like? What was it like when you were disconnected? And I would always answer that question until maybe a year later. I was like, actually, I didn't disconnect. Like I actually plugged back in to the right matrix. I disconnected from the wrong one and plugged into the right one. And I definitely felt more reconnected.
Okay. So one of the moments I love the most is when you first, you pushed through the difficult phase of like wanting to quit because you almost tapped out right away. I did
3 days in, bro. I was like, I called Heather and I was like, I called her from the Monk phone and was like, hey, babe, that's it. I'm done. I can write a book on 3 days without a phone. It was miserable. It was horrible. We need to stay off our phones. It's horrible. I'm done. And she's like, no, I definitely.
What is God saying to you?
Yeah,
Carlos?
yeah. She's like, have you asked God? And I was like, oh my God, stop it.
Devil woman, get behind me, devil woman.
With your
Heather,
talk to
I
God
love you.
thing. She's like, you can come home, but only if God tells you. Of course, God didn't tell me to go home, so I just was, frustrated. But yeah, I almost quit. But then, yeah, it was day 4. It felt like when I woke up, like an elephant had stepped off my chest, and I could breathe again.
I loved it when you first started noticing the frogs and the squirrels and the. You just started to like. It was like you started to go, oh, there's actually this beautiful world around me.
Yeah.
Like not being just bound to my phone.
Well,
golly.
As my father would say, he would always say this, when I was growing up, he would say, Carlitos, gaze at God and glance at life. Gaze at God and glance at life. And it was like, I felt like my gaze had been at my phone. Like we'd been gazing at that and glancing at life around me. And suddenly when I didn't have my phone to look down on, I just was looking up all the time. We almost called the book Look Up. Like, cause I literally was just, my head was never down. And gosh, I noticed everything. And I noticed these things because I was moving so slowly, right? So like you can't smell the roses in a neighborhood if you're driving 100 miles an hour down the road. But if you walk past a rose bush, you smell it. And so suddenly, I think that Godspeed, I call it Godspeed because we move at 3 miles an hour and that's how fast the monks moved. I think that combined with looking up allowed me to notice all of these beautiful things that God had around me that I think we've stopped noticing.
And I picture even your posture, like, because you know how the phone changes everyone's posture because your head being down changes your shoulders being hunched over. Like I can just imagine looking up more. It's like, oh, this is actually how we're supposed to live our life, and like this is how our posture is supposed to be.
It is. I did you guys travel enough, you can do this too. I asked people to next time you're at the airport, stand in front of an escalator, and I want you to count 100 people, and out of 100 people, I want you to count how many are looking at their phones when they're coming up the escalator. And every single time I do it, it's 90 or more. Every single time, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, we can't waste that 20 seconds.
I know. Yeah, it's like, look up, bro.
So good. What did you do on the airplanes? Because you flew from California to Pennsylvania. That's a long flight. What did you? Without a screen.
I had my Bible, I had my journal, bro. Like I was that guy. I was the journaling Bible guy and there were
you
screens.
Allowed to bring physical books? Did you bring any books?
I brought 4 books, 4 novels that I allowed myself to read. And then when I was at the and I couldn't read them all because if I wanted to, I would have read them in a night because it was like my Netflix, right? So I was like I didn't have a screen, so that was my Netflix. So I would like force myself to only read 3 chapters a night of these novels, and they were all like thrillers, So I loved it. It was kind of my Netflix every night. But yeah, like when I went to the airport, after living at the monastery for 2 weeks, you don't realize how many screens. There were screens in front of the urinals. There were screens on the back of every seat. There's screens everywhere. And I just kept looking down because I was like, oh my God, my brain scans are going to be screwed up if I don't, if I look at these things. So I didn't, I just read. I can't remember what book I read, but I read and then had my little paper boarding pass and then got picked up in Cleveland and got driven to Amish land.
Because the big spoiler would be the result of that pre and post brain scan.
Yes.
And that's what's so fun about the book is at the end, you go into the beginning and they take a big reading of your brain, and then on the end, and to know like even just something as small as 7 weeks, what that did to your brain is that's pretty wild.
Well, it's wild. And something I don't tell in the book that I'll tell your listeners is they also not only scanned my brain, but I had cognitive memory testing done. So I did about 40 minutes of like memory testing before and after. And when I got done, my cognitive memory score at the beginning was in the 50th percentile of adult men in America. And then when I didn't look at a screen for 7.5 weeks, I ended up in the 99th percentile for memory of men in America. There's only 1% of men with better memory than me when I finished this experiment. And again, like at that point, I was like, the proof is in the pudding. Like I know this isn't a scientific experiment. I'm the only lab rat. There's not a big data set, but this is what happened to my brain. This is what happened to my memory scores. And, I've got a father with dementia. Their brain health is a big deal. And so, yeah, that was a big deal for me when I got those results back.
Golly.
You bringing up your dad, and you just quoted him a moment ago about gaze at God and glance at life, and I'm talking about it again. That reminded me that was the last time we were together, Father's Day.
Yes. Oh, that's
we
right.
did Father's Day together.
Right.
Yes.
We fished.
Yes, we did.
My dad went to be with Jesus, and you came in his seat on a fishing trip I had booked for him. And you did him proud. You caught a lot of fish on that
and
thing.
I caught the biggest trout of my life, this bull trout. I never caught a trout bigger than that. And it was like catching a shark. That was so freaking awesome. It was in the spotted bear. Was that
bear?
In the bear, yeah.
It wasn't as big as Kip's fish.
No,
remember that?
oh my
sucker?
gosh, dude. We watched that guy catch that fish for like 20 minutes. I was like, what is he pulling in a whale? What is that thing over there?
It was so big that when he the picture holding it, the fat of the fish is like overflowing his fingers.
Oh yeah, dude. That was just a Kip.
He brings that fish up all the time. He always asks about you. He loves you.
Oh, dude. We had the best time. But yeah, Father's Day. That's right. Yeah, I was with you guys. And that was actually the week or the 2 weeks before my daughter got married. So
that's right.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
You went from here to there, and I think you missed a tiny bit of the shenanigans.
Yes. I think I may have.
Because I think it was like the
I
week
kept
of the wedding.
being like, bro, just stay one more day. Like I kept being like, come on, and like you were like missing events,
Yeah,
Levi.
but to be fair, I think I needed to miss some of those events. Like as the father of the bride, I could only handle so much.
Your mental health.
True.
You cried a lot, as it were. But like we were lighting those fires. Remember?
I'm already loose with my tears, Levi. You already told me that I'm loose. I'm loose with my tears, and and so like being the father of the bride, tacking onto that, man, it was a disaster.
It was sweet though, lighting those fires and sitting around reminiscing about of course your daughter and all the things, but then dads and because you're walking your dad through this dementia journey, and you've been so vocally honest and open about it. It's been very touching for all of us to get to follow along with you.
Yeah,
and as we told our church when we did that conversation all about this on Father's Day, which you can look up if you look up Carlos Whittaker and Fresh Life from the last time we were together.
It's a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
It was so healing for me because my dad's a private person, or in his dealing with cancer was so private that I couldn't, share in the way that you're sharing your dad's journey. So it became for me a little bit of a valve, of a release valve on that. So, and then of course you were at dad's funeral.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, it's it makes people feel less lonely, and I Levi, you and I got to talk when your dad was sick, and we'd talk and you'd text me, and you weren't able to share it with the broad world, quite like I am able to share mine right now. And this is actually what I'd love for people to even get from this part of the conversation. It's like the reason why people feel less lonely is say their caretakers or their grandparents or parents are going through this, or let's just be honest, like most people are going to go through this with a loved one at some point. It's because of social media. It's because I'm able to share these things on Instagram, right? So like that is actually like a positive thing that is coming from these screens, from these devices. And the one realization that's not in the book that kind of came to me after I wrote the book, but I tell people all the time now, this phone, people say all the time that they're addicted to their phone. They're not addicted to their phone. The phone is not the drug. The phone is the needle. And when people understand that this is just the needle, people that are addicted to heroin aren't addicted to the needle. They're addicted to the drug that's coming through the needle. So here's the deal. The phone's the needle. So what I'm able to deliver to people with from my phone through their phone is hope when it comes to dealing as a caregiver and all these things with my father. Like the drug I'm delivering is hope. So again, this is not bad nor good. It's just an instrument. It's just an injector. And where I think most people will end up when they read the book and will end up realizing is like, oh my gosh, I'm not addicted to my phone. I'm addicted to knowledge, which leads to me feeling like I have control. And suddenly control is the thing that we're all addicted to. We're not addicted to the phones. We're addicted to control that comes from knowledge. And so that's a bigger, deeper conversation. But why I mention it right now is because I need people to know, like, the phone's not a bad thing. Like I'm sharing my father's journey through the phone, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's helping a lot of people. So just, I think that kind of umbrella over the whole conversation is really helpful.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so it's
That's
good.
so helpful.
It's like money, right? I mean, it's same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you also, because you had the video camera and the GoPro, worked on a documentary simultaneously to this.
Yeah.
And
so, I mean, I've never made a movie. I've never made a movie before. And honestly, like I took this camera with me so I could set it on a tripod and every night talk to it so I could remember what I did during the day, because I wasn't going to write everything with my hand. I literally would get a hand cramp from writing 2 sentences because I'm so used to like just using my thumbs, right? And so I would just talk to it every night, and then I would, Levi and Jennie, I'm loose with my tears. So I'd be crying every single night on this camera. Next thing you know, I come home with like 50 hours of footage from this thing. And so I was like, I gave it to a filmmaker friend of mine. I was like, do I have like a 10-minute YouTube thing here? Like, can you just kind of thumb through it? He spent 6 months with all the footage and finally came back to me and said, I can tell you never thought anybody would see any of this. But I think we have enough for a documentary, like a full length. And I was like, what?
Wow.
So man, you know me, I was like, let's do it. Let's do it. So I kind of went all in. I did a Kickstarter. I've never Kickstarted anything before, raised a lot of money.
What did it, what was the raise? What did you raise on Kickstarter?
I raised $88,000 on Kickstarter.
Wow.
And so in 24 hours, which I was pretty proud of.
Dang.
Kickstarter said,
did that exceed the budget you needed to do it?
It exceeded the budget I thought I needed. And then you raise the money, and then you do, and then you keep making it, and you're like, oh wow, So I paid a lot out of my own pocket, but definitely like it was. I could have never made this movie without the Kickstarters, and so yeah, it's fun. So like with the Kickstarter, Kickstarters are fun because it's like if you give this much, then you get a bookmark and a pop socket, and if you get a little bit more, then you get a personalized video from Carlos. You get the documentary. So it's been fun to kind of do that thing. I've never done that before.
That's
but
so cool.
at the point everyone can listen to this, everybody's going to be able to watch it. It's on my merch store. If you go there, you can buy it and you can watch it on YouTube with your family tonight.
Okay, so YouTube, like just for free, or is it like a paid?
Well, so it's a. I mean, I'm literally doing this guerrilla style. Like it is a private link that I will email you, and I just ask that you don't email it to 4,000 people. And then this is how I tell people to get it on your TV is like you watch it on your phone, and then you just go on your history on your YouTube on your TV, and then you just watch it on there.
Or cast it.
Like you could whatever, however you get things up from your phone onto your TV.
Like when you AirPlay it.
AirPlay it, yeah.
Okay.
But that's smart. Once you look at a private thing, you can.
Yes, that's how I do it. Like if I look at because if I'm searching for things and I don't want to talk into my whatever, I just look for it on my phone, and then it's on my history. And so I just go up on the TV and I watch it.
But casting is like Roku or AirPlay.
Yeah,
or
casting is a very 2010 word, Levi. Like Chromecast. Like cast is like Jennie looked at you like, what does that mean? You're like, like AirPlay.
I usually am asking him what he means by certain words.
Yeah.
Have you thought about a distribution deal?
Yes, we have. We're actually in those conversations. So, but if that was going to happen, that wouldn't happen till like next spring. And so I wanted to get out. I wanted it to get out before, And what's cool is if it ends up on any sort of distribution, remember like this documentary wasn't supposed to be a documentary. So like as proud as I am of this documentary, all that's happened to me is now I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to make another one. Like, and I want to make one on purpose for those big distribution platforms. So like I've got plans in 2025 for like 2 30-minute documentaries that I'm trying to make. So like I fell so in love with making documentaries that I'm like, can we just do this? Can I just do this full time? So so I'm excited. I'm pursuing 2 different documentaries that I'm going to go after.
Carlos,
well, you have an
that
audience.
Is so cool.
I was going to say you'll have someone. Jennie's just recently discovered the documentary genre.
Yes.
So
That's
she's
not true. Not
you're
recently.
a big fan. No, lately you've been like, I'm so big into documentaries.
Yes.
It's this thing I found on the internet.
So I'm not as big of a big book reader as Levi.
Yeah.
And so I feel like what's so cool about that is that you you learn something, and it's like, oh, like I just watched one about Dolly Parton. I'm like, oh my gosh, this woman is amazing, and it's like it makes me want to read about it. Like I watched this one about Julia Child, and then I ended up buying all these books about Julia Child, and I'm like in it. But that I think that's just
that
my
one gave
method.
a preaching series too. The table came from you watching that documentary.
Oh, look at
That's
that.
true. So
No, but
I
it's just the
contribute
way
in
she first
certain
talked.
ways.
She's like, I realized my learning style lends itself more to a documentary than sitting down and reading a book.
Yeah. So anyways.
So in the
I'm a fan.
acknowledgments of this book, you teased that you want to get incarcerated and make a documentary about that. Was that a joke or is that real?
I don't know. I guess you'll have to wait and find out.
That seems terrifying.
2025.
Being volitionally locked in a prison.
Yeah. But put it this way. I enjoyed living with two subcultures that are normally misunderstood. That is my goal in 2025 is to find more subcultures to be curious about that are misunderstood and live with them.
Oh.
Dun, dun,
Carlos
dun.
Whittaker.
You have any ideas for
You're
him,
the
Jenny?
man for the job.
Should we think of some other subcultures
Yes, please.
for him?
Please.
I will.
Like I would say like a Stone Age, civilization in South America.
Okay,
like
yeah, let's go.
basket weaving, the language, people that click for like how they.
Yeah. The Gods Must Be Crazy. Do you remember that movie?
I do remember that
yeah.
movie.
Yeah, there was a lot of clicking in that.
What about I did want to ask you another thing. Wasn't about the documentary. I just am not letting you go. I just
No, it's
I want to
fine.
maintain this connection.
Please. This is just so good for my heart.
Oh. Sorry, I wish I could read
No,
your
I just
mind.
thought of another question
You
I
did?
wanted to ask you.
Mm.
We were talking about prison, if I've ever been. No, it's not
My
there.
brain, I need to go to
You need to.
detox.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you
good.
about rattlesnakes.
Yes.
You said everywhere you went in the desert on your prayer walks, you were afraid of rattlesnakes. But
Yes.
did you ever bump into any?
I did not. I did not.
Thank
I
God.
never bumped
I
into.
felt so relieved.
Yeah,
when
no,
you
I
said
definitely
that.
did not. I was scared, but I did bump into a bobcat. And
You
so
mentioned that.
that was a very scary story. Like literally the bobcat got down and like a cat before it pounces on top of something was doing that right in front of me, looking straight at me. And that's also in the documentary. I actually have that scene recorded
The
on
footage.
my.
You have that footage.
I have that
gosh.
footage. Yeah, so that's
the bobcat was the scariest
Yes.
creature that you came across.
In the desert. The bobcat was the scariest creature I came across.
Oh my god.
I would way rather meet a bobcat than a snake.
Yeah, me too. I'm not a snake guy. I felt like I handled the bobcat okay. Like I
I'm the opposite. I feel like
You'd rather
I
meet a
Oh,
snake than a
really?
bobcat?
Yes, because I mean, you just hold still with the snake, but with the bobcat, it's if it's attacking you, like there's what do you do?
Did you go on runs in the woods of California? The
no,
mountains, rather?
no, but I went on hikes.
Yeah, because you did the prayer hikes every day.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's when I would be afraid to run into a snake, is on a run, on a trail. You know what I mean?
Oh.
And I don't feel
Totally.
like you can just stand still. You're running.
Right.
And a snake strikes you because it's afraid.
Yeah.
Right, but
Yeah.
walking.
Yeah, I didn't
It's
run
different.
anywhere, Levi. I'm
You're
not.
a
I
big
was.
runner. What happened to you running?
I just play pickleball now. I only run
stop.
I only run in 5 foot increments. I only run to the kitchen and back to the baseline.
You posted recently that you won your
Bro,
first competition.
Oh my god, I'm so mad.
Second
I don't,
place.
I'm
Was
so
it
mad I don't
second
have
place?
my medal with me. Yes, this weekend I won second place in the Capital Cup in the open age division, men's doubles here in Nashville, Tennessee. I won silver.
Carlos,
That's
congratulations.
Thank you.
That's so good.
Wow.
And the two people that we played in the championship against were former Lipscomb University tennis players, and I always feel good when I beat a tennis player. They're bangers, so it was fun.
Wow.
Well,
That's incredible.
Thank
the
you.
book is
Gosh.
Reconnected, people. It's a documentary at what website?
If you go to instafamilia.com,
Mm.
there you go.
Instafamilia.com.
Or go to carlswhittaker.com. I'm sure it's there too. I'm sure my team has it everywhere.
You can get the documentary. You can stream it through casting technology.
Yeah, through Real Player. You download Windows Media Player.
Yes.
But get the book.
Wow.
Yes.
Real
And I
Player.
like
You
the-
just really threw that back.
I
did.
Windows Media Player.
And I like that you told us that you're going to have human school, because I think that that's obviously something you're going to do, but like people can have a small group and go
Yes.
through that.
Yes.
So I think that's such a great opportunity for community around this.
Absolutely. And I
this
just give
message.
people, I'm gonna give you handlebars to get back your life, at least half of your life that you're losing on your screen. If you cut your screen time in half, legitimately, I will gain 6 years of living. So that's crazy if you think about it. So I'm going to help people do that.
You are.
have you thought about your own line of inflatables?
What if I did oh man, I would love that. What if I just did inflatables of my friends? What if I had Jennie and Levi like in my front yard?
Don't make any commitments now because we're just spitballing
That's
here.
a brilliant question,
But
Levi
if
Lusko.
you had one that looked like you, or maybe you had one that didn't look like you just looked like Santa Claus, but he was just black.
Yes.
It wasn't you,
Wasn't
but he was
me.
just Black Santa.
Yes.
I feel like that would be on brand.
I feel like too, and then the Santa can have like a Insta Familia pickleball chain.
We want people
on
to
them.
buy this.
Oh, right, true. I
Most
like this
people
idea
will,
though.
Levi.
No, I like.
talking trash
I
on
do like
pickleball.
this idea. I'm going to
It's a
make a
great
little.
idea.
inflatable
Let's say they were
Carlos.
just it was just reindeer. It could be anything, but it's just private labeled Insta Familia.
Yes,
I'm
I like
just
this.
saying,
I like it.
or an endorsement deal from just a random. I'm sure they're all made in China.
Well, I know, and so because I've tried to get an inflatable like creator on my podcast before. Like who works at an inflatable company? Like that's cool.
Yeah.
That'd be find out. You're right. None of them are anywhere near us. They're on the other side of the planet. So,
but I'm sure you could get your own, like your Carlos Whittaker approved, or some of your
Yes.
favorite characters.
yeah,
This
I
is
like
just
this.
the thought.
No, I like
Yeah.
this. Yeah, it's like a special label inflatable.
Good thinking.
Good thinking.
I am going to have to let you go now.
Oh.
I don't want to.
It's a bummer.
Carlos, we love you so much. You're such a good friend. You and your wife, Heather, and your kids, we just love
Beautiful
you guys.
people. Should we go catch some fish sometime
Please.
soon?
Please.
You could wear that yellow shirt.
Please, I'll wear this.
Mustard.
Wear this. The mustard shirt. I'm in desperate need of getting back to you
We can, back to you.
and
Okay,
fish and the fish that you take me to.
I have a new lead
Yeah.
on some epic fishing in Colorado.
Oh, let's go.
Mm.
So we should go do that. I can't literally wait till the next time we're together in the same room
Yes.
to hang out.
Yes.
I hope everybody will get the book, stream the movie,
Do it.
buy a
Yeah.
mug,
Do it.
whatever it takes
Please.
to
Whatever it
get
takes.
you into their hearts because
Thank
you're
you.
a good person.
Yes.
Thank you. Also,
And we love you.
can I add, Jennie, your hair looks incredible today.
Wow.
It-
Thank you.
It's looking great.
Wild.
Yeah,
It's
well,
wild.
Just letting you know. Like, I don't know. Like
Thank
all of a
you.
sudden, the last two camera shots that came over, I was like, Jennie's hair looks fire today. Like great job.
That is so nice of you to say. And it does look good.
Thank
Yeah, doesn't
Oh,
it look
I-
good? Levi?
Thank you.
I have another question.
Yeah.
Did the lack of blue light coming in really impact your sleep? Because you were looking at less blue light, right?
Yeah, no, that is interesting. I actually don't know. I slept great. So I mean, after the first 3 days, again, I'd wake up every hour, heart palpitations, like I thought I had the flu, like it was horrible. But then I slept
Withdrawal?
incredibly.
Is that
Yeah,
just as simple as
Detox.
withdrawal?
1,000% withdrawal detox.
Dang.
Were you drinking any alcohol during this trip?
Nope. Well, that's not true. Sundays with the monks, definitely.
The monks drink
the
wine in communion probably too, right?
Yeah, but no, they would like party on Sundays because nobody else was there. So like I got to like
would party
love
like it's
oh yeah,
1999.
like it was beer, a lot of beer on Sundays, and then the Amish make their own wine, and so yeah, I drink a little bit with them, but pretty much I was alcohol free.
I'm just thinking control sleep.
Yes, absolutely. Sleep was amazing.
Wow.
So
Incredible.
Okay. I've been waking up at 4 a.m. a lot lately, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I mean, Annie F. Downs always says, have you thought about that God's trying to get you to pray? That's what she said to me, which is a very good answer.
It is a great answer.
And I was convicted by that because I was complaining to her about always waking up at 4 a.m.
yeah.
And she's like, maybe God's trying to get you to pray, Levi. I was like, I was mostly mad. Like, this is like,
no, totally.
you know,
Yeah. Why do I don't need to do
Angry
this.
prayers.
I don't mind
prayers.
waking up at 4 unless you don't want to.
Right.
I don't like having no choice in the matter.
Totally.
All right.
Yeah.
Carlos, you're a good man.
Oh,
We
I
love
love you.
you.
Both
Have a
of you
great
and your
day.
family. You guys have a great day too.
Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to swing by levilusko.com and jennielusko.com to see what's going on in our world.
And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. And in the meantime, we would love to connect with you on social media. Jennie and Levi Lusko out.